Ever walked out of an interview feeling bummed and feeling like it went really well, only to know that you were actually rejected? We've all been there. But what if I were to tell you that you made one of these 5 deadly mistakes that actually killed your job interview? Let's uncover what they are. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Raheel, an entrepreneur and a product leader currently living and working in Dubai. Over the past 5 years, I've personally interviewed hundreds of candidates, and I've seen them make these obvious mistakes again and again, and almost every single time it has led to a rejection. So in this video, I'm revealing 5 deadly job interview mistakes that candidates make and it costs them their dream job. And trust me, number 1 is a shocker and it's a deal breaker, but you have to stay tuned till the end to learn what it is. Let's dive in and start with number 5. Number 5 on our list is so obvious that I was actually thinking of not even including it. But I've seen it happen so many times that I think it's worthy of your attention, which is candidates are not just prepared with their answers. And we tend to believe that, we can wing it, we can improvise, but 99% of the time, this strategy does not work. We as interviewers, we're talking to so many people that we can identify when a candidate is prepared and when they're not. And almost every single time when they're not prepared, our tendency is to just, close the interview, send them a rejection letter and move on. Now, there's a very easy fix for it, which is please prepare before you come for a job interview. There are a lot of common job interview questions that are asked in almost every job interview. For example, tell me about yourself. Your introduction needs to be solid. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Tell me about a time you achieved something in your job. So there are very basic questions that you can prepare beforehand and then come to an interview. One rule of thumb that I like to follow and I advise my friends and whoever asks me for an advice for job interview is that you should be so prepared that if I wake you up from your sleep and ask you a question, you should be able to answer with confidence. So, number 4 on our list is not asking questions to the interviewer. Now, this is a very weird one, right? Why would you in a job interview ask questions to the interviewer? Now, let me change your mind for a bit. So we tend to believe that job interviews are one-way street. You're the candidate, I'm the interviewer, I'm supposed to ask you questions. But honestly speaking, the last 10 to 15 minutes are kind of reserved for you to ask me whatever you want to ask about the role, about the company, about my motivation for joining the company. This is your chance to dive deeper into whether this is the right position for you or not. Now, let's say that the interview goes really well and it's time for you to ask me some questions. And you just simply tell me that you don't have any questions. Now, this signals lack of preparedness and this signals lack of curiosity on your end, which is a big red flag for me as an interviewer. For example, I would love to know that you've done your research and you want to learn more about the company, our culture, how we work, our values, what sort of people we hire, what is this role all about. Now, these are all questions that you can only ask if you're really curious about the position. So please, whenever you come to a job interview, prepare tons of questions beforehand. Try to learn everything about the role, about the company. Even ask me as an interviewer why I'm working at this company in the first place, because that would really engage me with you as a candidate. And automatically it will signal me that you're very keen on joining the company. So when I go back and talk to my peers about you, what will I say? I will really say that, this guy was asking a lot of interesting questions and this guy was really learning about our culture and he had some really fascinating questions. So I would love to give this person a shot. Number 3 on our list is talking too much, listening too little. And this is a very common problem that I can't even begin to describe how many times I've seen candidates just babble all over. But I understand where candidates are coming from and why this is happening. Candidates are nervous and they're excited, and whenever you're nervous or you're excited, you tend to speak too much. But in an interview, it gets really weird. You start giving long answers, you start adding irrelevant information in your answers, you're not concise, you end up interrupting the interviewer, and it gets annoying after some point. But also it signals to me that you have weak communication skills. Moreover, when you're not listening actively and you're just trying to get to the answer really quickly, you miss out on a lot of critical information that the interviewer is trying to convey about the company or about the culture or about the roles and responsibilities. So you have to listen very carefully. But also, you have to remember that interview is a two-way street, right? This is not a one-way interview, but it's a dialogue between two people trying to understand whether they're the right fit for each other. So you have to make sure that you don't take up majority of the time talking, but instead talk in a very concise way. But at the end of the day, make sure that the interviewer and the recruiter is, you guys are having a dialogue, an active dialogue, not really a monologue from the interviewer. Now, the fix for this problem is actually very simple, which is you have to work on your communication skills and you have to calm down. Be concise with your answers. Give space for the interviewer to say if they want to say anything. Make them a part of the dialogue. If you're giving a monologue about your experience, ask them follow-up questions on what they want to know about. So in this way, you'll make this interview a very engaging dialogue. And when you're talking too much, the problem is sometimes there's a slip of tongue, you end up saying the wrong things. So you have to be very careful what comes out of your mouth. And you have to remember that listening is a key responsibility that is part of every job description. We as interviewers, we don't mention it on the job description, but I assure you that it is one of the key skills that we're looking for in a candidate. So whenever you're in an interview, try to make it an engaging conversation with the interviewer. Ask questions, give space to the interviewer to complete their sentence. Do not interrupt, because that's very disrespectful and rude, and it adds to your overall negative points for the job interview. But if you speak just about the right amount of time and you listen more, automatically your chances of getting that job, they shoot. Now let's talk about number 2 on the list, which is answering the question without understanding the question. And this is a tendency that a lot of candidates have, right? You ask a question and automatically they want to go into the zone and they want to answer the question right away and tell you how smart they are. But let me give you an example. I was in an interview with a candidate and I asked them to tell me about one of the biggest achievements in life. Now, what I was looking for in that achievement was nothing related to their personal life, nothing related to their work, but I was trying to understand if they had any side hustle or any extracurricular activities, and I wanted to know achievements from that space. But the candidate never asked me exactly what I was looking for, what I meant by achievement, whether I was talking about work or personal, and they just started talking about their work achievements. A minute into the answer, I had to stop them and I told them that, man, I understand that you have a lot of these work-related achievements, but I am more interested in understanding your side hustles or extracurricular activities and achievements in those areas. Now, there was an awkward moment in the middle when the candidate had to rethink. But what would have been the ideal situation? When I asked the candidate that, what do you think is your biggest achievement in life, they should have stopped. They should have been like, thank you, Raheel, for the question. I want to know, what exactly do you mean by achievement? Do you want me to tell you something that I achieved as a team member or I achieved individually? If you're talking about achievements in life, are you talking about my work-related, my personal life, or something on the side? And when you ask me about these achievements, are you talking about recent ones? Or I can give you examples from 5 years, 6 years ago as well. Now, when you ask these clarifying questions, now you're trying to get to the same page as I am. I might have a different expectation of an answer for the same question, but the candidate might give me a different answer altogether. Although that answer is correct in some way, but that is not exactly what I'm looking for. Now, you might say that as an interviewer, why do not I tell you exactly what I'm asking. But here's the catch. The reason why I, ask this question in an ambiguous way is to really understand your problem solving skills. Because a lot of the times in our lives, we are left with ambiguous situations where we have no idea what the answer might look like. So we have to slowly probe and try to understand what exactly the right path will be. The same case is with this question. The reason why this question is so open-ended about the achievements part is because I want to know how you tackle this. You want to dive in, you want to ask me details about what exactly do I mean before you start answering. And what this does is, this tells me that when I give you a problem to solve, you won't just start solving it. You'll first try to understand, gather all the facts, gather all the data, and only then, when you have the confidence, when you know exactly what the problem is that you're solving, then you'll dive into the answer. All right, time to reveal the number one deadly mistake that people make. I wish I had drum roll here, but I think I'm gonna add it during this time. Drum roll. Okay, number one on the 5 most deadly mistakes in a job interview is lack of self-awareness. Now, hang on, let me explain, because this is, Raheel, this is a very philosophical reason, like, how can I improve this? But let me give you an example. A lot of the times when we sit down and we talk to candidates, we're looking for a level of maturity and a level of ownership that this person can take, right? So you have these questions like, why don't you tell me your weakness? Or why don't you tell me your strengths? And if I get an answer that, oh, I don't have any weaknesses, or my strengths are that I am a good team player, my weaknesses are that I care too much. Now, these are very shallow reasons. And me as an interviewer, when I hear these reasons, I know for a fact that you're kind of like, you're bullshitting. You exactly do not know what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. So basically, you're not self-aware of your own capabilities. And that's a huge red flag for me, because I'm hiring someone for a very important position and I want someone who's self-aware of the surroundings, and this starts from themselves. And here's another example that I would like to give you. For instance, I ask you a question regarding one of the biggest challenges that you face and how you solve them in your work life, for example, or in your previous job role. Now, if you give me a very shallow answer and I start probing in and I ask follow-up questions and you give me very poor or very shallow reasons without the specifics, automatically that's a no, man. That's a bad answer. Then the reason for that is you're not really self-aware of exactly what really happened. So it might be a made-up story, it might be fabricated, right? Or it might be even a lie that you've made up and practiced so much to sound confident and to make me believe. But as soon as I dive in, it doesn't really make sense. So the self-awareness piece is critical. And I've seen so many great candidates from great business schools or great tech schools come in, give these amazing answers, and then suddenly when you start probing in, going deeper, you realize that they haven't really thought about these things and they don't really have good answers for these. They have just shallow answers that they've prepared for the sake of the interview. And that is why I believe, and I've found this to be true in multiple cases, that the number one reason why you get rejected is because you're self-aware of your own, you're not aware of your own capabilities, your own weaknesses, your own strengths, and you're not honest with yourself, which is why recruiters or interviewers are not really persuaded by your answers and they send you that rejection letter. So a fix is simple. Have self-awareness sessions with yourself. Try to really understand what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. And it's not that easy. You have to probe in a lot. You really have to dive deeper into your life events to understand in what circumstances do you perform great, in what circumstances do you perform badly. Now, the reason why I'm talking about weaknesses a lot, because this is one thing that I want to know if you have a learning ability, right? Everyone has weaknesses, but your attitude towards fixing your weaknesses is something that matters. So for example, if I ask you what your weakness is and you tell me my weakness is that I'm really bad at delivering on deadlines. Now I ask you why. Now that you start mentioning that the reason for that is that, I get caught I'm in perfectionism. I try to get everything done to the point and I spend a lot of time on details, but I know this is a problem, but here's what I'm doing to fixing it. And hopefully in the next couple of iterations, I will be able to make this my strength, not really my weakness. So avoid this mistake at all costs. Be self-aware, be prepared, and be honest with yourself. That's how you will ace any job interview, guaranteed. There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for making it till the end with me. In this video, we uncovered 5 deadly mistakes that candidates make that eventually kill their chances of ever getting hired. So let's quickly recap. On number 5, we had not being prepared enough for the interview itself. On number 4, we had not asking enough questions to the interviewer. On number 3, we had talking too much and listening too little. On number 2, we had trying to answer the question without understanding the question. And on number 1, we had showing lack of self-awareness. Now, if you fix all these 5 major mistakes and you don't make them in your own job interviews, you're already ahead of the curve, man. You are already better than 95% of the candidates out there, and you significantly increase your chances of acing that job interview. Thank you so much. If you like the content, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. If you think I missed any other mistake that we make, leave them in the comments below, and we'll talk about them in some other future videos. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.